Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dougs and Diggets, today we're going to take a good look at Arc-Tempered Lunastra. Again, this video was supposed to come out like literally, oh goodness, so long ago. It's a little ridiculous, but I guess better late than never. If anything, it's for the archive. I guess now that all the Arc-Tempered monsters have been chronicled. Here. Oh wait, I haven't done Zor Magdaros. Should I even do that? Like, do you guys want me to Zor Magdaros? I mean, there's really nothing really to say. It's just everything you've already been doing, plus more health to him. So you have to fight him a little longer when you go to the little battle thing at the wall or whatever. Anyway, so Arc-Tempered Lunastra. Today, Arc-Tempered Lunastra, I'm going to tell to you that Arc-Tempered Lunastra is pretty hard. Not the hardest one that I fought. Not the hardest Arc-Tempered monster that I fought, but it was the first one where I had to really start to think outside of the box as to how to actually counter this monster correctly. Because just like Lunastra, when Lunastra first hopped onto the scene, not necessarily originally, this was like way back in generation number 2, but at least in this game, threw everyone for a loop because she was so powerful. Her supernova was unlike what Teal'c's supernova was, and in a sense where you couldn't, it wasn't a physical thing, where his was just an explosion from his body. You could block that explosion. This is just a giant heat wave, so it would drain your health even if you attempted to block it or not. It was just something that was just unblockable because it wasn't a feasible thing to block, if that makes any sense. Where in which you would use guard up, which would block moves that were previously unblockable. It's weird. You just can't block it, period. No matter. Anyway, but we all knew that with Arc-Tempered Lunastra, what Arc-Tempered monsters tend to do is they tend to take what they're really good at and amplify that. And in Luna's case, that's no exception. It will supernova quite often, actually. This was actually I think it only supernova maybe 4 times in this fight that we're showing right here, but I've actually had a supernova on me 6 times in one fight, where in which the normal case is like twice or whatever. But that's honestly the real thing you honestly really need to know. Again, yes, it is Arc-Tempered, so it will do a lot of damage when it comes to its attacks. So just come here and as if you were to be fighting a normal Lunastra, but there's going to be a couple of skills I'm going to tell you about that's going to be, if anything, like super pivotal to actually fighting this monster when it's in its Arc-Tempered state. But off the top, let's just talk about what it is. Okay, so you're going to really need to come in here with cool drinks, because even though you're fighting in the volcano, that's one thing. When you're not fighting in the volcano, you're still going to need to be using cool drink, simply because the blue flame that Lunastra actually gives off will deplete your health as if you were still in a volcano. So you're always going to need cool drink when fighting it. Your fire resistance is going to be relatively decently high as well, at least 20. 20 will make it to where you're not afflicted by the blue flame on the ground, causing you to have fire blight. You will still take damage, but you won't have fire blight. So that's actually a huge plus, because fire blight plus taking also the damage, that's just too much nonsense. You can either go in there with 20 points of fire resistance, on your own, or just go in there with the fire mantle. I myself don't really like to depend on mantles too much. I just like to make it to where my armor is fitting the bill. So with that being said, its attacks are basically the same. It has gained like no new properties on any of its actual attacks that I've been able to visualize. Well, not visualize, but actually comprehend, see, even get hit with. Everything seems to be normal. The only real draw to this monster is more health, more attack, more supernovas. That's cut and dry. That's even worse than Teal'c, which was just more Teal'c. It's probably more in line with Arc-Tempered Kirin, which was just like more Kirin and like nothing else. I don't know. It's weird, but we're getting ahead of not necessarily getting ahead of ourselves. We're just talking. We're rambling for nothing. So let's get into the important stuff. The skills you're going to really need when fighting it. I'm going to show you my anti-Lunastra set. You can make changes to this if you are a different type of player. I'm a Lancer. I tend to stay on the ground. Actually, fighting this monster with the Lance is probably the best way to fight it, because you get to block all the little dumb stuff that it actually does. And it's just super easy when you use a Lance to do it. But anyway, the armor set goes as follows: Windproof 5, Guard 3, Speed Eating 3, Health Boost 2, Peak Performance 2, Evade Center 2, Quick Sheath 2, Guard Boost 1, and Part Breaker 1. Now, this set right here is my second attempt at the anti-Lunastra set. The first one I had, it was kind of the same. It's just that as I continued fighting it with that knowledge I had before, I learned about this newfound knowledge, which is this set right here. And the key actual skills to fighting this monster is Windproof, Speed Eating, and for me, Quick Sheath. The reason why you need Windproof is because its supernova is a huge burst of wind. Okay, it's the wind that has your recoil back, and then if you don't have it, you recoil back like, oh gosh, the wind, and then you're just burning alive right there. So if you don't have that initial burst that makes you recoil, you can actually take the time to heal immediately. Take Asteroid Jerky or Mega Potions or what have you in the meantime. That's where speed eating comes in. It's so that way you can take the items as quick as possible, as soon as possible, so that way you don't burn to death. Now, Quick Sheath is there because usually I'll be fighting the monster, whatever. It'll roar, and then it'll go in the air, and then come back down, do the Nova. Lance takes a long time to put the weapon away, so I put the 2 points to Quick Sheath in there, so that way I can actually put my weapon away a little quicker, so that way I can actually start eating the potions and things like that sooner. So again, the main skills you need to really take away from this is Windproof and Speed Eating, depending on if your weapon itself is a really slow one or not. Maybe a couple of points in the Quick Sheath, but that's what I learned when it comes to fighting it. If you can have those two skills, Windproof and Speed Eating, you basically counter the main thing that makes it Arc Tempered, which is its abundance to use the Supernova. Now, let's say you do actually defeat the monster, and you just say, okay, let's make that armor. Well, its armor is actually not that bad. If you guys remember, the Lunastra armor from before was pretty handy. It had really good skills on it and lots of slots. The Gamma variant is no different. Off the top, the skills that it gives are pretty cool. We're looking at Earplugs 4, Agitator 3, Health Boost 2, Evade Window 2, Wide Range 2, Peak Performance 1, Evade Extender 1, Tool Specialist 1, and of course he has 2 set abilities, which is Stamina Cap Up, increasing stamina from 150 to 200, and Mind's Eye / Ballistics. Now the cool thing about this set is it's kind of similar to its old set, but it also has a couple of new skills in there as well. So if anything, remember the sets I talked about before, the Arc Tempered Lunastra, the Arc Tempered Xeno and the Arc Tempered Kush, how their sets are basically the same skills, just the skills are swapped around to different parts of the armor, and with maybe like 1 or 2 points less into it. This one is it has a couple of the same skills, not too many wide range health boosts and evade extender and tool specialists come to mind, but it has a couple of new ones, earplugs and agitator being the 2 big ones there. Now, it has tons of slots, okay? I have actually made a set where it's a mix between the Gamma and the Alpha, and a couple of pieces of it. I think the head was the beta actually, but I mixed just Lunastra armor to make one really good Lunastra armor set, and it's just really good. It's always been good. Luna armor has always been good. The Gamma, like I said, is no different. It has amazing skills. Now the Alpha is, it's good in its own right, but I want to say once you get a nice mix going, you'll probably find you'll find your best Lunastra set. So its armor is really good, but outside of its armor, it's not that tough of a fight once you remember how to fight Lunastra. Again, once you go in there with the knowledge of knowing that Windproof and Speed Eating are probably the 2 skills you're going to need the most, and you're pretty decent at fighting Lunastra, you're going to have a good time. Granted, though, in a team setting, it is a bit more difficult because you have a lot more things to take into account, or with your teammates might get hit by some madness, or Teostra, for example, he shows up in the middle of the fight, and when him and Lunastra get together, they do this bonding ritual thing, which will cause both of them to do a supernova, of course. But I mean, that's that. Now, one thing to note: if you do get hit with the supernova and it actually makes a little burst from his body from the fire, and you get hit with that burst, don't touch any buttons. Let your character just lay on the floor. The cool thing about this game is when you've been hit and you're just laying on the floor, you're completely invincible. In this game, you can do what's known as the delayed wake up, where in which you just don't press any buttons, let the game make your character stand up, and it's called a delayed wake up. You can make yourself come up quicker if you press a button in between, but don't. Let all the time pass, but just remember, once your character starts to actually get up again, try to go for a Superman dive, so that way you can get even more invincibility frames to further expel out the time in which the supernova is actually active. But honestly, the biggest thing to take away from this fight is that the supernova is its main draw. It does have very strong attacks. You can probably get hit, not necessarily one shot, but you can get hit for like 80% of your health. I was actually stunned at one point and got hit for 70% of my health and died instantly. I was so aggravated. But again, skills like Fortify, if you really want to actually take it to the Lunastra, you can actually use Fortify to increase your attack and defense by 15 and 30% respectively. 10 and 15 percent respectively. 10 points to attack, 15 points to defense. Anyway, you can do that. If you cart, you get that that particular boost to fight Lunastra a little bit easier, because I know sometimes it gets a little hectic when it comes to fighting it. But again, All of its attacks are the exact same for the most part. You're just gonna have to know that it's gonna supernova a lot. I don't want to stretch this video out any longer than it has to be, but that's what you need to take away from this, guys. Its supernova will happen about 6 times, okay? And it hits harder than it did before. It hit pretty hard before anyway, so just coming here with about 470 to 500 defense, some good fire resistance, maybe even a fire mantle if you wish, and a means to actually mitigate the wind pressure from the supernova, and a means to actually eat your items quicker so that we can recover your health. And that's Arc Tempered Lunastra. I mean, a bit of a letdown when you really think about it, because I expected more, but this is it. But then again, that's fine, because it was actually one of the hardest monsters in the game, bar none anyway. So, I mean, that's that. But regardless, everyone, it's been your boy Dak. Now, I don't want to pad this video anymore. It doesn't really need to be longer than what it really needs to be. I just want to give you the information that you really desperately need, and the stuff that you should probably take note for, and that's the Arc Tempered Lunastra. The next Arc Tempered monster we're going to be doing, we're gonna do Arc Tempered Goat Butter, because it's she, him, whatever, comes out in 2 days from when I speak, and after that we'll probably just wrap it all up with Zora Magdaros. Or wait, does Nergigante come out with that too? I don't think so. Nergigante's later. We'll do Zora Magdaros after we do Arc Tempered Goat Butter, because, you know, just for archiving sake, just want to have all the Arc Tempered monsters in there. But anyway, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Thanks so much for watching. This video might not have been the best, but hey, I feel as if a lot of people really need to understand that what you need to wear, if anything, to fight this monster, because normal fighting it is one thing, but actually fighting a Arc Tempered version, you really need to actually gear yourself up properly to do so. But anyway, it's been your boy. You all take care. Of course, Patreon, Twitch, and all the good stuff, those links, if you care to actually check those out, they're going to be in the description below. It's been your boy. Take care.